Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Q&A Monday, but with a difference. I had this whole slide presentation done for today because we were going to get into content planning, and that topic is crucial now more than ever. But I wanted to take the next few minutes or so to talk about just life and to just share with you and listen to you and build community as we go through this crisis. Let me know if you are here. I am, for those of you who don't know, my name is Judith. I know we have some new people who are in the group. My name is Judith. I am the founder of Caribbean Content Creators Club. And one of the pillars of the club is that every single Monday afternoon at 5, I show up in the service of you, answering questions, doing tutorials, providing tips and insights, and really also engaging with you and showing you the way forward with how you can build your businesses online. So what a week it has been. Everything from panic buying to feeling fearful to, and all the good stuff in between. Feeling part of a community, sharing with your neighbors, trying to be as informed as possible so that we can move through this crisis of unprecedented nature together. And, I should preface this by saying that many of you don't know, because I talk so much in the digital space, that I am a crisis communicator, a trained crisis communicator, and I've led scores and scores and scores of crises throughout the Caribbean and worked with CEOs at the highest levels, CEOs, managers, presidents of various multinational companies, helping them through crisis. And one of the things that I know is that fear. So let me know if you are here and if you are feeling fear, and what is the manifestation of that fear in your life. So for me, I don't have the heart racing or anything. I tend to deal with fear in a very practical manner, and it's because I have been crisis trained. And so for me, it's about getting the information, knowing what I have to do, and being practical and forward thinking. In crisis communications, we are taught that we have to think about the worst possible scenario and prepare for that, so that we're completely prepared as we journey through, as I take the CEO or the company through the crisis, that they are fully prepared for what could possibly go wrong, will go wrong. And we prepare all the communication strategies for that. And so for me, I take a very practical approach, but I know that not everyone is so trained. So I want to know, first of all, and don't just tell me hi, because I'm sending my love to all of you. Hi Greta, hi Peta, hi Charlene. I am so glad that you're here. But I want to begin with the three of you because you all have joined in the conversation first. Let me know, how do you deal with the fear? The fear that you are feeling right now, like how are you coping? And how are you managing the stress that accompanies all the shifts and changes that we have to make? And as you put in your comments, I also want to say that fear is completely legitimate. Like, this is what I tell the people that I crisis train. It's okay to feel fear. And there's this great quote that I love that says that, well, there are two quotes that I love, that the antidote to fear is to take action. So the antidote to fear is to take action. And the other quote that I love and that I always tap into is that the object of any investment, the social object of any investment is to counteract fear. And when I think about the word investment, I don't necessarily think about money or finances or dollars. Really, it's the investment of your time to become informed, your investment in others, because this is really about each one taking care of each one. And it's really the investment of your resources in your business, because that's what I want to jump into, the resources in your business, because I know that we're all impacted. So Charlene is saying, for her, being practical is the key. And I so agree with that. And being practical means different things to different people, but at the source of it is to rely on credible sources. In this pandemic, I think there's so much, and as much as I love, and you know, I love social media to communicate, to build community. I do social media for lots of different clients. But I also know the danger of social media and the rumors that can spread and the false information. And so it's really important to look at reliable sources like the World Health Organization, your news sources, BBC, your local news. That is so important, but also looking at those sources with a critical lens. Nicole Farrell, who's one of our community members, had a really interesting question on Sunday that or was it Saturday? It was Saturday, I believe. And she posted it and asked, with the national advisories that are coming from the government and that's being posted and broadcasted, what is the impact that all this change is having on your business? And that made me stop and think, because, and since then, things have, the goalpost has moved even further, because now there is, bars are closed. I think there's indoor dining. All schools are closed for a month. So there's all this information that's coming forth. We're seeing the images on TV, right? And so Nicole's question really struck home about what impact is this having on your business? So let me know, is the impact negative? And I believe for all of us, we are going to be looking at an economy that is going to contract. The global economy is contracting. And if you have watched the news, you have seen what is happening on the stock exchange. You've seen what is happening with businesses being closed, employees being sent home, being told to work from home. And I just read today an article about the economic impact on China has been devastating, even as they go back out to work. So in our small businesses, I would like to know what is happening to you. And I want to give you an example. So for me, I have an Airbnb in New York City, and I had guests booked for 3 months. That's 8,000 US dollars, right? Of course, this is before I pay apartment managers and people and all of that, right? So in terms of the gross revenue, and that reservation was canceled. And the business depends on income. I've diversified my business, so it's no longer one income stream. And this is something I want to talk to you about in terms of understanding where solutions lie within your business. But we depend on some of that income to be able to do and invest in different things that we're doing on our online platform. The other aspect is that we do lead generation and digital marketing for a US-based financial firm. And because Wall Street is in a tailspin, that source of income is no more. So I am definitely feeling the impact. And let me know if you are feeling that impact too. So Charlene is talking about how she uses her logic to stay informed. And she's currently responsible for 60 caregivers at her job. So let us know what you do, Charlene. When you say you are responsible for 60 caregivers, let us know what you do. But as I was saying, that I am definitely impacted in the various aspects of my business. Now, I need to know from you, and I know most of us are growing our businesses and using online strategies and digital strategies and social media to do so. But how is your business impacted by this pandemic? What are you seeing happening? Are clients canceling? Do you see that there has been a slowdown? Are you thriving? Chemo said to me, when in reference to Nicole's question, that she had to turn away clients, and she has two businesses, a cleaning service and a boutique. And her boutique is thriving, although she anticipates a downturn, and she had to turn away clients from her cleaning business. And I suppose, in a sense, having a cleaning business in this economy kind of makes sense, because everybody wants to have their home deep cleaned and sanitized. And so that business model is thriving. So there are ways that we can survive and that we can thrive when there is impact on our businesses. Now, we have been talking about being consistent on social media. But first of all, I want to say to you that it is so important. It is so important to, as we go through this, I just did a blog post on forward40.com. So just go to the blog section on Forward40. And I took my time this weekend to create an article on how we can work effectively while we are working at home. And this is much harder than it seems. So those of us we've built home offices, and we have set up structures, our work is on the cloud, and we have all the productivity apps and all the communication apps that allows us to work seamlessly with our teams. It's easy. But for those of you who are now getting into working from home, do you have high-speed internet? Do you even is your computer set up? Do you have apps that lead you into your office or your files in the office? Are you going to be on the internet? Because it's so easy, if you are not disciplined, to go on the internet and get distracted by all sorts of things. Are you going to sleep? So it's really important. And my number one tip as we go through this is to have a routine for your productivity. So it's very, very crucial that you follow through on what you are supposed to do by having your project plan very clear. And if you got up, are used to getting up at 4 o'clock, don't think you should start work at 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock. You should really get up at 4 o'clock, maybe 5, 6, but stick to a routine of knowing what it is that you need to accomplish for your day and getting that routine done. Routines and rituals provide all sorts of comfort in times of crisis. And now more than ever, as some of us are feeling fear, it's really important that we get into our habits, our productivity habits, in order to maintain a sense of perspective, calm, but also to be able to create whatever it is we create and offer our services and products to the world. So number one is to establish and maintain some system of routine with your workload and with your projects. The next thing I want to talk about, and is everybody agreeing with me? Are you all still here? Desi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am glad you are here. Greta, long time no see you on this platform. I'm just checking all the comments that are coming through. So I'm so glad that everyone is here and joining in. I want to talk to you about doing more with less. So, and also to having a mindset change, a mindset shift that allows you not to bury your head in the sand. So I'm going back and wearing my crisis hat. And I am remembering all the times that I have worked with people at the highest level in the organization. And when they saw that something was going to happen, that they were going to be represented negatively in the press, or when the media came knocking with all sorts of questions, or where there was going to be some kind of news that would impact their reputational issues, the first thing that they felt was fear. And the first thing was to bury your head in the sand. They would bury their heads in the sand. And what we can't afford to do, and I'm not talking about from the perspective of being very stringent with personal hygiene and being responsible for other people, especially the most vulnerable among us. What I'm really talking about is being aware of where your business is at now. Some practical things. Do you have money to cover 3 months of rent? Mortgage. You have to go now and work with your accountant to see where you are at this point in time. This is so crucial because, again, I am talking strictly from the business aspect of things. It is so crucial that you understand where you are at now, because as we can tell, in Wuhan, China, this crisis took them 2 months to get through, and they're now coming out. If we are to believe the Chinese government, people are coming out to work and so forth. But it took literally 2.5 months for them to get from the most painful parts of the crisis to be able to now start to emerge and now start to crawl out of the crisis. So the questions you should be asking yourself and working with your accountant to find out is, do you have the finances to cover you through payroll, rent, expenses? Do you have enough to take you through the next few months? This is a real big, gigantic reality check that you have to pay attention to. There's no sense in thinking that you do, but you really don't. There is no sense in buying that new whatever you wanted to get to your business and you're not sure where that investment is going to lead. So I am working with a small fine dining restaurant right now on their social media, and we're going to be doing some other things with them. And they were going to invest heavily in changing their business model, but also changing the appearance, the physical appearance. They had the architect come and draw all the plans, etc. And now those plans are on hold because it really makes no sense to be doing that kind of investment in these uncertain times. But what that restaurant owner, and I'm not going to call her name, and what that restaurant owner can be doing is looking at a website, looking at a takeaway menu, looking at how she can expand the on-air, the open-air capacity of a restaurant. All of these things are about understanding how you can pivot successfully within your business. Doing a reality check and understanding the way forward for you. It's so important. So I go back to my Airbnb. So we have lost all of this income, and New York is in a tailspin. That is one of the cities in the United States of America that has been impacted very heavily by COVID-19. And so I called my accountant and I said to her, okay, Alicia, we have been impacted. The apartment has been empty since December. We were going to get it fully booked from March, April, May. That's canceled. You know what we have to do? I think we should put the apartment on a long-term rental. So whereas before it was Airbnb, you know what? Let's try to get a long-term tenant for a year. So where we can be guaranteed income or guaranteed, even if it's not as much as Airbnb, we can be guaranteed an income that every month. And so that's what I mean by understanding what is your reality and how are you going to shift your mindset to fit this new reality that we find ourselves in. And finally, in addition to understanding the new reality and establishing a routine for productivity, I really want you to think about what lies ahead as we come out of the next couple of months. And hopefully we can pray that we are all safe, that our families are safe, that our loved ones are safe, and our nation is saved. but what are we going to do, and how are we going to see the world differently, and how are we going to see our interconnectivity differently, and how are we going to see business differently, our own businesses? How are we going to proof it, bulletproof it, so that we can conduct business, I should say, online? Now, one of the things Petal said to me is that she doesn't see that she would be impacted because she considers herself bootstrapped for this kind of business because she is a virtual assistant. And I think Desi also has a virtual assistant business. And so that may be a business that may have an upswing as people start to work from home and as people want to decentralize what they do in the offices. Virtual assistants may see business on the upswing. And I would love to hear from Desi and Petal what they are seeing in their businesses. I think you guys are still online. So Desi is saying she's doing well. She doesn't feel worried at all. In fact, one client reassured me that all will be well with his business, so fear not. I love that, Desi. I love when clients and the supplier of the service and the purchaser of the service is communicating. And that's one of the things that I said in the blog post, that it's really important to be able to communicate with your clients and your clients communicate with you. There's no better time than now than to enhance and to up those communication practices. So as I was saying, we have been preaching being consistent online. We started this group. Can you remind me when we started? Is it 6 months ago? We started this group approximately 6 months ago. We are not even close to a year. And correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. Greta had to postpone, Greta is just chiming in. She had to postpone a workshop this month. And I had planned to do a market because, of course, as you know, Greta is a potter and does remarkable, beautiful pottery. And she's had to postpone a market because absolutely there are no markets. There are no large crowds gathering in places. So yeah, that makes sense. So Greta is going to be impacted. But one of the things that I want to ask you is, how are you using the time to really build an online market, Greta, where you are selling your work and keeping your feet on the pedal when it comes to accelerating the kind of content that you are producing, so your market is no longer local, right? I am going to be releasing all sorts of educational products very shortly, within the next month. And it's all going to be done online. So how do we pivot our businesses from being so much where we depend on local markets and one-on-one contact to really developing an online presence that begins with having a strong website? Many of you don't. Many of you don't have websites and depend exclusively on social media. I feel that both of them work in conjunction with each other. So maybe it's time now to look at your website and make it more robust, as all these cancellations are happening within the space. How can we move from having an online, offline course in a restaurant, in a conference room, to having an online webinar? How can we go onto places like Fiverr and Upwork and get ourselves gigs that are paying in US dollars? It means creating a profile. It means doing, setting up your shop there. It means even on Etsy. Etsy is a wonderful marketplace where you can sell your goods and services. So it's so important to understand what we have been preaching here in this group, what we have been saying for the past 6 months, how now you are so equipped. And I love being able to have helped you become so equipped so that you can really use Instagram, use Facebook, use LinkedIn, whatever platform that you thrive on. Deep dive into them over the next couple of months and really retool really look at your website or having a web presence and really retool for the future. The time is now to do all of that. I was just I glanced here instead of glancing at my camera, and I recognized I had to tell you about a story about the lipstick that I am wearing, and I was telling Aliza that my friend told me once, and it's true because we did the research to find out. You would notice that I never show up here with like a bright lipstick. I used to do it at first, and then now I'm wearing more neutral lipsticks. And there's a reason I'm telling you this story, I swear. Because it has been noted or recorded that whenever women are faced with a crisis, the sale of red lipstick goes up because they're no longer purchasing unnecessary items, or even in some cases luxury items, but they're going and women are purchasing lipsticks because it's affordable, but most importantly, it makes them feel good about themselves and more confident about who they are. And as I was getting ready for this live and listening to all the news and getting ready for my work ahead this week, because I do have a very busy week, I wanted to put on red lipstick because I just felt that it would make me feel better. And it did. And so we have to find the things that make us feel better and feel good about ourselves and gives us more confidence. Aliza got a new haircut. We met on Friday in Diane's to go over our week ahead. And at that point, Diane's was not as full as it typically is. People were talking about the coronavirus. People were bummed out. And Aliza told me that she felt kind of low, and she decided that she would go get herself a haircut. So all these things that inspire us to feel good about ourselves, to practice self-care, to do the things that inspire us, that gives us confidence, allows us to become more productive and even more engaged. Self-care, self-love, love of others is so important during this time. I want to say to you before we get into the comments that many things have been canceled, but you know what has not been canceled? Great conversations have not been canceled. Communities like this that exist online, they have not been canceled. Networks that exist of your peers have not been canceled. Good music has not been canceled. Great books have not been canceled. Your imagination has not been canceled. And your dreams have not been canceled. Hold on to those things, because those things are what is going to power us through the next couple of months. So let me take in some comments. Petal, who I just referred to and is a virtual assistant, said, I think that as a virtual assistant, I may start to see more business as people will start looking at more remote ways to do work. Amen. I'm cracking you up and all the virtual assistants that are here. Mindset shift, right? So the thing about it is that businesses have no choice now. And I'm talking about the global, big, large businesses have no choice now but to think about decentralization, to think about remote work, to think about more deeply outsourcing work, to outsource the work that is not necessary that they do, that takes up too much time. And I applaud those virtual assistants who are seeing an upswing in their business and capitalizing. And maybe that's not a bad word, that is a negative word, but seeing the opportunities that are there that they can thrive. So very good. I'm so happy for you, Patel. So Greta, who is the potter I referred to, said her plan during this month will be to focus more attention on her web shop and maybe set up online workshops. I think that is fantastic, and it speaks directly to my tip about pivoting from having this offline presence, this storefront, to moving businesses online where you can. You know, we have to support each other. So Greta, when you do have your online workshop, and I know you probably will have one for advanced potters and maybe one for people who are hobby potters, let us know here. you know what? I would encourage all of us to sign up for the course, to really support her, because in supporting her, it will rebound. I call that the boomerang effect. People will support us in return. Avia says, Avia, I have been working from home for years, so I'm used to my routine and I'm used to being disciplined. Absolutely fantastic. You know, this is the way the world is turning. I have a studio here. I am creating a YouTube studio for my own use, but also for rental, for those of you who are interested in producing videos. So I am used to working with my team that we reside all over Trinidad and Tobago, but also I have a team that's based in Kenya, New Delhi, and the United States. And so for me, it's really, really easy to be disciplined, but I understand how if you're not used to it, how it can be very trying getting into the routine, because don't forget, we're all social creatures, and just the isolation of working alone can be very, very daunting to some of us. So Liba is saying yes. Natasha, hello. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you joined us. I don't think I've ever seen you on a live, so welcome, and I hope this live has been useful. Let me know if it has been. Jennifer says, I firmly believe that there are opportunities during times of crisis. Now, having been in business for such a long time, I can testify to that, Jennifer, because we have survived the economic crisis when Clico made that big announcement. Remember those times? There's so many shifts and cycles when it comes to entrepreneurship and being in business that we have no choice. I mean, even when I made my move here to this new property, there were expenses that I didn't anticipate, and I had to bootstrap. So we're constantly doing the dance, and it's to always remind ourselves that we have to, as our parents told us so long ago, save for a rainy day. So Jennifer says, we're forced to look for new ways of doing things. I'm used to working home. She still has a regular job, and this working from home has become a huge savior for her right now. So I'm so glad to know that you are impacted, but not too heavily impacted. Patel is saying she hasn't paid for her domain name. Natasha just said, I have been struggling with my business for a while. I'm an esthetician, and now with this situation, I feel so anxious. Okay, so let's address Natasha's query for a while. Why have you been struggling with your beauty business? Is it because, one, of the competition? Is it because you don't show up on a social platforms talking about your services? Have you looked at your prices vis-a-vis that of your competitors? Are you doing the proper advertising to get your ideal client or customer? There are all sorts of reasons why your business could not be doing well. Let us know, because maybe there are people in here in this sacred group who can help you. Avia says, I am taking this time to transition from ClickFunnels to Carter. Lord, give me strength to deal with the technology. Technology is always a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it really becomes second nature. So very, very good fortune and good luck with that. Okay, so I think there's so many questions. I'm so glad so many of you have signed in and are asking questions, not only of me, but of the community. Please go through this thread to be able to help one another. How can we help one another? Everybody, right this minute, put right here your Instagram handle or your Facebook handle. Put it right now. Let us support each other long after this episode, this Q&A Monday is finished. Let's use the links that we are seeing and go follow these people, go follow members of our community, take action by writing a review, by saying hello on their pages, by giving a shout out, by recommending. There's so many things that we can do as small business owners to support each other. We are all in this together. And as I exit this Q&A Monday, I'm going to be showing up here, off and on over the next week. I want to be able to be here to support you and myself, because I do this rather selfishly at all, because your comments buoy me up, they lift me up, and I learn so much from engaging as well as teaching. And so I want to come back here on Wednesday. It won't be at 5. I'll just jump right in, and who's here is here, and we can share in the comments and just check in more frequently, because I want you to know at the end of it all, your dreams are not canceled. Until Wednesday, take good care.